Hey everyone.
Hey, what's going on?
What's going on? It's Natria Robinson.
And Cedric.
We are Aging Grateful. And today's video, we're going to talk about our first week living in Puerto Vallarta. Oh my gosh, our first official week. So if you're just tuning into our channel or just stumbled across this video, a little bit about us, just to fast forward. We actually had to come here on vacation to PV, stayed at the amazing
Hotel Masai.
Hotel Masai. If you've never been, I advise you to go. But anyway, so we stayed at the Hotel Masai, and then we took a trip during our stay to the Malecon, right? And then from there we came back home, and my husband immediately booked a trip to come back here to Puerto Vallarta. You want to talk about that?
That was an exploratory trip.
Okay.
Because I wanted to see, we loved it so much, I wanted to see if it was a place that we can actually live, part-time, full-time, whatever. But I know that staying at that resort was not a realistic way of life. I mean, it'd be nice if it was, could be, but realistically, no, you got to get down with the people.
Yes. So that next trip was a 3-week trip. And so we wanted to see if we could actually work from here, which we did. We brought our stuff to work here and actually live. So we actually rented 2 Airbnbs, one on one side of town and one on the other. So the first hotel Airbnb we stayed in was in Hotel Romantic Zone, the Romantic Zone, Zona Romantica is where we stayed. And then the second was?
It was in Zoho Skies, which is in
the Hotel Zone?
Basically the Hotel Zone, yeah. Basically.
And so we could get some perspectives, but we looked around at different neighborhoods. We were in 5th of December. We went around to a few neighborhoods and found an area that we actually really liked. And lo and behold, we saw a place for rent in the area just by walk. And we advise, if you're looking for a place, start not just online, but kind of look the area, come and look at the area. But we saw a place. We actually just signed a lease on it before we left. We stayed one night before we left out of the 3 weeks. And so we had a lease, and you could check out our previous video, one of our previous videos, and see the place, and which we are in right now. And we actually had to leave because we only stayed for 3 weeks, but we had to leave because we have kids and we have
we got a life back in Arizona.
In Arizona, yeah. And I'm a real estate agent. What are you saying, boo? I'm a real estate agent, a realtor in Arizona, in Buckeye, Arizona. And so I still will be doing that as well as pursuing licensure here. But yeah, so we had to go back because we had to live and get stuff together and realize when we were going to be able to come back. So we officially had come back. We were gone for 3 weeks, 4 weeks?
About a month, almost. Yeah, about a month.
Almost about a month, yeah. And we just arrived back a week ago. And so let's talk about our lease. So the lease process, because we had some people ask us specifically about the lease process. So here's the video for that. Sorry, it took us a couple of weeks, but we were trying to get our bearings for everything. But here's the lease process.
Yeah, so the lease process was interesting. You know, you hear a lot of horror stories about people getting scammed and all that stuff. So when we saw the place and it had a number, just basically had a sign on the balcony with a WhatsApp number to call. So we called and talked to the lady, and viewed the property, and then we asked her what the next steps was, and she said she'll send us the application, and she sent an Excel spreadsheet with a few questions in there, and I was like, this can't be real. I'm like, it just basically wanted to know your name, your name. I think it had like your address and how much money you make, and if you had a job. I mean, literally, it was some.
It was a very simple application.
Yeah.
It's just general stuff that you already know about you, right?
Right, and we're looking for, we're typically used to seeing, big long applications, references, credit checks,
Yes, all that
background checks. None of that was nothing.
None of that was on the application. It was literally like one page.
Yeah.
It was one page.
It wasn't even a page. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then, after you do that, so a lot of places just have something just generic, just like that. And then you do have to submit your ID.
Yeah, now they
Copies
do
of-
ask for copies of your passport.
Yes. And,
Absolutely.
And they want to make sure it is you.
Yeah.
So don't think it's weird if they do ask you for that.
That's quite normal.
It's quite normal.
My suspicion is, I did some research, but say you skip out on the rent, good luck trying to get out of the country or back into the country because they got your passport information. So,
So make sure you are legit,
Yeah.
basically. No. But then after that, she did send us a copy because I think it's a smart thing to do. I asked for, and maybe it's the real estate agent in me, but I did ask for a copy of the lease before we signed it.
Right.
I wanted to see what we were getting into, make sure we weren't going to be getting into no loopholes or something like that, unexpected real expectations. And it was a really straightforward, plain, you could understand it in English.
yeah, it was. Yeah, and that was what, probably about 5 or 6 pages. That was a standard lease.
It was a lease, yeah, standard lease.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just a
definitely.
typical lease that you would have. It did have a clause in there about no subletting and things like that. So a lot of
Yes.
people come down, they'll lease a place, and then they'll try to
Make money off of it.
make money off of it for whatever reason. So it did have language around not being able to do that.
Yes,
Um,
correct.
so-
So just know if that's your intention and you're renting a place, make sure that you see if it says no subletting, no subletting.
Right.
There was also a deposit.
Yes. There's a
And,
deposit. Everything's set up through PayPal.
well, this
For this particular unit, I think the owners are
place.
this place. I think the owners are in the United States, and they have separate PayPal links that we pay the rent through. We had one for the deposit,
And this is all through a lawyer.
right, through a
So-
lawyer,
so-
through the lawyer's office.
Yeah, so there's a lawyer that handles, so we were dealing with the property manager and not the owners, right?
right.
In this case, you may be dealing with owners in a place, but we were dealing with the property manager and she's here. And she had the lawyers send us PayPal links for specific things. Like
Right.
for the deposit, there was a PayPal link for the lawyer.
All right.
Then there is the monthly payments actually is a PayPal link. So that's how that works for us.
Right.
And that's how we pay it.
Yeah, and the deposit was pretty straightforward, like it is in the U.S. It was a month's rent plus a security deposit.
No, so we're talking about security deposit, not just the first month. So we only paid.
Well, that's what I meant. It's equal to.
Okay, so
Right.
what we paid, guys, so what we paid was a $300 security deposit.
Right.
And that was paid separately. And then we put down our first month's rent. That's what we paid.
Right, but it was as a security deposit because this is our first month. Here, you pay in advance just like you do in the States, so it's the same thing. We're saying the same thing. She's just talking real estate terms. I'm talking plain language terms. We put down the first months back in December. Actually, you know what? I'm wrong because I'm thinking.
I'm gonna let him have it.
Listen, I'm thinking because we left that we didn't have to pay for that month. But no, we did pay for December. We just wasn't here. All
I'm
right.
gonna let him have it.
So she was right.
Oh
No.
God, can you say
She's
that?
right.
Say what? Say 10 minutes and 17 seconds.
All right. So you know what? Thinking about that now, it's not typical because we didn't have to do like a first and last month's rent and all that stuff. All we did was a $300 security deposit
And then
then our rent.
Now, also too, in a lot of these places that you would be renting, utilities or some form of utilities are included in rentals. So, and even in buying properties too. So, as an example, our utilities, the water, the gas, the internet was included in our monthly rent. Right. The only thing that's not included in our monthly rent is our electric. Yeah, our electric. So that's on us, that we pay for, but everything else was included in the rent. Another thing, furniture. There's furniture that's in the property, and a lot of rental properties come with furniture. A lot of properties that you may be buying also may come with furniture. So like beds, couch, tables, things like that. Even like plates, cups,
dishes,
yeah, all that stuff, pots, may be included. Plants. Oh, we inherited some plants that may be included. So just know to ask, if things are in the property, are those things staying, things like that. So that's pretty much the lease process that we had. We signed. We came to the property one more time to view it before signing on the dotted line. I recommend that you do that. We were told that we should meet at a certain location, like a Starbucks or something like that, to sign the lease
And get the keys.
And I was like, nope. And maybe not the trusting person that I am, maybe because I was just like, nope, can we just meet at the property and see it one more time before we sign, which I highly recommend that you do that. I'm highly recommending that as an agent.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times you follow your gut, because that was, not only was that a like real estate move, but I think it was a gut move, because think about this, right? If we would have met the lady at a Starbucks, signed the lease, paid the deposit or the first month's rent, got the keys and come back, and then it's not even keys to this place, and then they're gone in the wind. So I think that was a really smart move that, you said, nah, we're gonna meet. Cause I was like, all right, we'll meet at Starbucks. She's like, no, let's meet us at the place so we can make sure the keys work and we can make sure everything is legit and all that. So, and they were more than happy to come over here and meet us at the place.
Absolutely. So we walked.
Definitely a word of caution, because it may be normal to meet somewhere, but I would recommend meeting back at the place so you can see the place, because you get here, you sign a lease, you get here and everything's, all the furniture stuff's gone, and then, now what? Or whatever.
However, I highly recommend that regardless of
where you are, yeah.
So I don't care, United States, Canada, Timbuktu, just make sure you do your due diligence, right? So that was the lease process. We signed the lease, we got the keys, and boom, everything was on. Utilities and the stuff like that was already on. You don't have to worry about waiting for stuff to get cut on or anything. Everything should be in its proper space. Utility electric though. Make sure you find out if there are utilities that are not included, that you find out before you sign the lease how you would be paying, or what you need to do in order to make sure that specific utility is taken care of. We found out here the electric bills come out every 2 months,
Right.
And that they would be putting the bill on our door, and we could pay it at pretty much like any OXXO, which is like a pharmacy, drugstore kind of thing, like a Walgreens.
Like a 7-Eleven almost.
Yeah, something like that. I say Walgreens because it's pharmacy, right? OXXO. So just make sure you figure out how to take care of your utilities before you sign. You want to make sure that this is good information. off of that, back to this living. So there are some things that we dealt with this first week, and I'm learning, and he's learning too. So I tried to do something as simple as like getting water service here, right? So have water delivered to us. The 5 gallon, right? 5 gallon jugs of water. We actually went to Costco, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we bought a water
cooler thing.
Cooler. Yeah. It does hot water and cold water. So you just put the little 5 gallon thing on it. So we bought one of those, and I was trying to call, and here's my conundrum. We're learning Spanish. Duolingo is what we're using. We're not affiliated with them or anything, but that's what we're using. But I'm not there yet. I'm just learning. So when I tried to call the number for the water service, I tried this twice. No habla inglés, okay? And so I was trying to communicate the best I knew how, giving them my address and stuff like that, and it never panned out. Like, nobody showed. They were like, yeah, well, mañana, they were just telling me basically we'll deliver. One was saying we'll deliver today. The September call, they said they deliver tomorrow, early tomorrow, and I was like, okay, great. Nobody ever showed up. Nobody ever showed up. I even was texting, and I was trying to, use Google Translate to text the message and put it into WhatsApp so I can message them. And unfortunately, still,
I had high hopes when you were
too.
text messaging, because that was like you were actually having a conversation with prices and all kinds of stuff. So,
and I thought, yeah, finally they're gonna come tomorrow morning, and they never showed up.
And I think the one we're looking at with 3 jugs, basically 15 gallons delivered, and it was like 130 pesos, something like that. Yeah. So it's pretty cheap.
Yeah, high hopes, but that didn't work out. So we're gonna try it again. We're gonna keep trying until we can,
We do have a little convenience store, like literally right downstairs almost. So I went there and did get a 5 gallon jug from them before, which was pretty, I won't say expensive, but it was the first time.
No.
Because you have to buy the jug, and he told me that once we get it.
He's talking about expensive in terms of Mexico.
I'm talking about expensive in terms of American living too.
Okay.
So it was probably $5 or $6 for a 5 gallon jug. I mean, so US dollars. So when I took it back, and he told me, once I come back, I didn't understand what he was saying until after I left, because he was, speaking Spanish, of course. But then I was like, oh, I think he was saying when I bring it back to get it refilled, it's cheaper. So that's what ended up happening. I took it back yesterday to get it refilled, and I think it was like 40 pesos. So it was pretty cheap. I mean, it was under $1, basically.
So that means every time we go back and fill it, it should be about 40 pesos, or go back to exchange.
To exchange, yeah. So he just exchanged. He took the empty and gave me the full one, and then just brought it back. So that may be our water service, because we can't get this other one.
We will see. We will keep trying, but who knows. So also too, along with that, I'm cautious a lot of times. My husband is which is crazy, because I'm fly by the seat of my pants with decisions and stuff like that, and he's the more cautious in terms of that. But something about him being out here, he just like out. He'll just go, walk away, and just like go explore and be like, hey. And I'm like, okay, well, we need to think about this a little bit. But anyway, so this week I did go out on my own without him, and I enjoyed it. And it's for those who are a little bit hesitant and think, oh my gosh, it's not safe, or think you might not, you're a little cautious too. I say go for it, because I went out, I had a really nice walk. I got to go get keys made and find out where I could get keys made, and picked up some lunch, and went to a little market and got some stuff for dinner and that. So getting out, I really, really enjoyed that, and it was really a good experience for me, and looking forward to more of that. Now, with that being said, I want to talk about eating out versus cooking. Now, keep in mind, we live here now for the most part, right? So we'll be going back and forth, but we live here. We're not vacationing. This is not a pit stop. Oh, excuse the noise. Welcome to Mexico. But anyway, as I was saying, eating out versus cooking. Is it doable, worth it? So because we actually live here, going out to me is not feasible, right? To me, going out every day or every night is not feasible, because one of our goals here is to try to save for retirement, right? And save up as much money as we can in order to do this, right? And we've kind of shared a little bit about that story in another video, so please check that out. So going out every night is not getting us closer to our goal. I mean, it could be, but I mean, so what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to get caught up in going out every night, because compared to prices in the U.S., it's a whole lot cheaper, right? So you're like, I can just use that.
It depends on where you go.
Even the higher end restaurants compared to the U.S. are cheaper. I mean, they just are.
We differ on
I said cheaper. I didn't say they're cheap.
Okay.
There's a difference, right? So they're cheaper. Okay. So you can either one or two things that I've noticed, like when we came before, is that you go to a restaurant, the food is so much cheaper that you try to get a whole bunch of different things on the menu. And some of that is because if you know you're leaving and you're vacationing, and this goes back to what we were saying, difference versus living versus vacationing, right? If you're vacationing and I know I'm leaving next week, I want to try 3 or 4 things on the menu because I'm going to be gone. So you tend to spend a lot more money that way versus living here. The stuff isn't going anywhere. So there's no reason to go in a restaurant and order everything on the menu. I could just go and get something one week and go get something, next time, whatever. So, so that's my thoughts. It's I wouldn't do it every night just because, for one, there's only so much stuff you can eat out, right? You're gonna eat, well,
you can, no.
you got, all your taco places, all your different, I mean, you could try different
There's Italian,
things.
there's,
I mean, there is,
Jamaican, there's Thai. I mean, there's so many. Listen, guys,
there's a lot of stuff.
If you've never been to Puerto Vallarta or Mexico, there's so many options out here. So I don't know. My husband's talking about.
What I mean by that is once you go to the restaurant, so many times, like if I go to the Jamaican restaurant and I order something, then I go there again and order something. Eventually, you run out of things to eat there, so you're just gonna keep eating the same thing over and over.
He would run out of stuff to eat there because his limited palate. But I would probably continue to find something new every time I went, if I was to try to do that. But for me, I'm saying it does not. It's not feasible. It's from a financial perspective, it's not feasible. And we will get into our budget kind of thing in another video for February, because January, because you're watching this, January 2023, we didn't come here with a budget for January, not so to speak, because we knew there were things that we had to get, when we got here, such as in our place we have a cooktop, gas cooktop. We just we don't have an oven, right? So and no microwave or anything like that. So we bought an air fryer, and we also bought a blender because, I like to make smoothies and some other things that you want to blend. So we did buy that, and there was a couple of items that we needed for the house things. So we knew we were gonna come here focused on getting some things. So we didn't have a specific budget. However, February of 2023.
She's gonna lock it all down.
Clink, clink. I'm gonna just lock it all down. We're going to be detailed and dedicated to this. This week we cooked breakfast this week.
Mm-hmm.
So we bought some groceries for breakfast. We bought we bought a couple of nights dinners this week. So we did eat out.
Lunch too?
And lunch. We ate out lunch and dinners for a lot of the time. But hear me out here. I was wise about what I was spending. So like we went to one of the local taco stands here, and we spent probably maybe $6 on lunch.
I don't even think it was that.
Yeah. If that, on lunch. I spent $4, $5 on lunch on a couple of days, and we had chicken, potatoes,
A whole half of chicken and
potatoes, tortillas, salsa, peppers, and I spent about $5, literally $5. So over the course of our lunches for this week, I will tell you we probably spent a whopping total of about $25 for the whole entire week for lunch. And for dinner, we probably spent about a good $35. No, I take that back because our meal at Joe Jack's.
Yeah, but that was kind of I don't say a splurge meal, but we know Joe Jack's is a little bit more expensive than, typical restaurants.
And when he said expensive, we spent probably about $35-$40.
Yeah, I think we spent right around $40.
Yeah, $40. So if you add the $40 to the $35, we spent about $75 for dinner this week for the both of us.
Yeah.
And then I cooked a couple of the nights for dinner, and guys, you will not believe it, for the 2 nights of dinners I spent $7, and that was shrimp, rice, tomatoes, so to make a meal. So I spent $7 to make a meal, and that meal lasted us for 2 nights.
Yeah.
So food was relatively inexpensive, but to me.
So that I guess that kind of proves your point, eating out versus cooking, huh? Because you spent $7 for 2 nights.
I'm just saying that to me, it makes sense. Now, maybe one night a week or something like that to go out. We'll see how it works in our budget. Okay. Another thing is, for those of you who have never been to Puerto Vallarta, we do have stores here that are just like the stores in the United States. There's Walmart here, it's Costco, which we mentioned, there's Sam's Club. The thing is that you're gonna pay Walmart, Sam's Club, and Costco prices.
Right.
And that's what we did our first day here. We went to Walmart. We went to Walmart and got the stuff, like I said, the air fryers and stuff like that. So we spent a nice chunk in the store, because we also got, like juice and stuff like that, but we got US Canadian prices, just so we clear. But we were doing all that only because we knew we had to go get the major items, but otherwise local. Local. And so our last thing that we want to touch on is working in PV.
Yeah, working in PV is pretty normal. I mean, I've been working remote for about a little bit over 10 years now. Well, well over 10 years now, pretty much 100% of the time. And when we came the last time, that was kind of the exploratory trip, right? So we came for the 3 weeks. I took no vacation except for Thanksgiving, you know, after that weekend. But otherwise, I wanted to see if I could work from here and nobody know where I am and just business as usual. And that's pretty much what happened. Surprisingly, most of the buildings here, even the older buildings, we're in an older place now, they have fiber. You know, that they're only doing that in the United States on new builds and new neighborhoods. The difference is they just run the fiber on telephone poles and stuff like that.
Wherever they want.
Yeah, so, you know, in the US, you got to dig underground and do all that.
You got to make it look aesthetically pleasing.
Right, so that's why a lot of places don't run fiber unless it's a new build, because then they can do it, you know, pre-construction. But here, they just run the fiber along a telephone pole, bring it down to the house and jack it in. So we have fiber. Every place we've been has had direct fiber to the router. So internet speeds over 100 megs. From what I'm hearing, you know, internet's been included in all the places, but we do know people that have service and they're paying, you know, 25, 30 bucks a month. And there's two main companies that a lot of people use, and you know, with that affordable pricing, people normally get both just in case one goes out. They have a backup. So it's very affordable for the internet. So as far as working, I haven't skipped a beat. It's just pick up and work. My company's global, so we don't have an issue. A lot of companies, you got to check with your company.
This is our tip.
You got to check with your company because even if your company allows you to work remote, sometimes they will block IP addresses from another country and they won't allow you to work out of the country. And even using a VPN sometimes doesn't matter. People think that, oh, I just plug into a VPN and then I can, you know, dump out in the United States and they won't know where I am. Well, I work in security.
Here we go.
So a lot of companies there's all kind of agents and stuff that they put on your laptops, things like that, that will give them information about your computer, not only about your computer, but where your computer is. So even though you may be on VPN, it still may be able to feed them some information. We know some people that got caught up with that. You know, it's like, even though they were using a VPN, their company still found out that, hey, you're out of the US or whatever, and they actually got let go. So
another thing is that, okay, let me say, you're too trusting in this technology, right? You're too trusting in its capabilities. Sometimes those masks fall, right? You're putting up the VPN, that's a mask, right? To say, hey, I'm not here. But then every now and again, you know, the mask might fall off a little bit and come back up and fall back off. And you don't know who's monitoring during that time. And so make sure, guys, just make sure, you know, keep them dollars.
Fireworks from part of the pirate ship.
Yes.
Sounds like that.
Keep them dollars rolling. Make sure that you are able to actually work remote outside of the US or Canada or wherever you are.
Yeah.
Just make sure, guys.
I would say if you value your job, don't chance it. If your job says you can't do it and you want your job, don't chance it. If you don't care, it's like a job you work in. You know, if they find out, they do. If they don't, then, you know, hey, do you. But that's, you know, with my job, it's definitely something I wouldn't take a chance on. But again, my company's global, so they don't really care where we are. And since I've been back, nobody knows, you know, that's the purpose. Like, you know, you're doing a good job working remote when nobody really knows.
Like,
that,
it doesn't skip a beat.
Yeah.
For me, changing the mindset of clients and customers that I engage with. Yes, I'm in Puerto Vallarta, which I'm seeking licensure here, but I'm able to do real estate from here in Arizona. I do Zoom calls, I do client follow-ups. I actually have a team of amazing people who I work with who are able to, if I'm not able to, and I try to go back and forth so I can show homes to people when they need to. But if I'm unable to actually show the physical home, I have a team of people who are able to go ahead and do that, and then I can pick up and writing the contracts, negotiating the deals, scheduling appointments, and all of that stuff. I still have the capability of doing everything that I've been doing before here, and just making sure that I go back and forth to take care of my business. So that hasn't skipped a beat for me, which I definitely appreciate and love. My clients are amazing. So thank you. Which brings me into you doing the conference call, right?
Yeah, talk about challenges. Some of the challenges working. You heard that motorcycle going by, right?
And that loud booth, which is the
that's people here. They evidently they still think it's New Year's, yeah, because they popping firecrackers around here like it sounds like bombs going off sometimes. It's like they have a challenge to see who can make the loudest, craziest boom. So we have, if you guys don't know, an open concept.
Go pan up a little bit, baby.
And I don't know if it's gonna let me pan up because of the thing there, but we have an open concept. I can't show the ceiling because, oh, there we go. Look at that. Look at that. There's like no, yeah, so it's open. That's why we don't have AC. So
open concept.
Open concept. So that, and we'll do another video talking about this open concept living that we're doing. So we hear all the noise that go by. You just heard that. So it's actually been, I have some noise canceling Sony headphones. We both do. And when I'm on a conference call, especially if I'm on a conference call with just some of my teammates and vehicles go by, I will unmute and ask them if they hear any background noise, and they always say no. So surprisingly, those work pretty good. Now with my AirPods, it seems to pick up a lot of the background, but those Sony over the ears, and I can't hear anything out. Like, I guess I was on a call yesterday, and something like that's going by. The firecrackers was going by, and I could see her pointing at me like, don't you hear that? And I'm like, I can't hear anything. Nobody on the phone is saying anything. So it's been pretty good. I'm actually quite shocked, because that was one of the things I was worried about. I was like, man, well, not really worried about, but it's like, when you're on a call and you got all this background noise, sometimes that could be distracting. But me working remote, as long as I've mastered the conference call muting and all that stuff. So it didn't skip a beat. But surprisingly, with those earphones and stuff, I haven't had anybody say, oh my God, what's that? Where you at? None of that. Nothing. So.
Well, also too, knowing that Mexico is, Puerto Vallarta specifically is building. Like a lot of building is going on and happening here. So you're going to hear a lot of noise, a lot of construction. It's not a necessarily, especially if you're in the hustle and bustle of like downtown, which we're near downtown, or what they call the Zona Romantica. It can get a little bit loud. There's still people who like to, party, because we're in the thick of it. So we understood that was what comes with the territory. There are some areas that are a little bit more quieter, but you're still probably going to have like the construction noise, because those areas are still being built. So you're not going to technically escape all noise, if that makes sense. But you as you see, you will not hear as much maybe as you are in this timeline. Outside of that, what we do after work, right? Because we work during the day, Monday through Friday. And for me, sometimes it's Saturday and Sunday, depending upon what the situation is. But that's back in the States. I haven't experienced it here yet. But what happens with us after work?
Usually we just go out for a walk or whatever. I know for lunch, we typically go out for a walk. I take an hour for lunch, so we typically walk down to the beach. We're literally 12 to 15-minute walk, and we're at the beach.
Yes.
So we'll typically walk down to the beach and kind of circle like a block thing. It's usually about 1.5 miles total once we do all that and come back. And after work is the same. Just kind of walk around and explore a little bit and get out and exercise. I mean, you don't need a gym here. I'm telling you right now.
Let's say this: if you don't want to have a gym membership, walking. But now if you hardcore like bodybuilding and stuff like that,
now if you CrossFit, well, you actually can do CrossFit in the natural here with these mountains and steps.
Oh my gosh! But I do want to get into yoga, so that's one thing I do want to get into. But as far as the exercise, you can walk, run to your heart's content. And it's really nice. The people here are really nice.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
By far, really, really great people. And we're just enjoying the journey. Right?
Yeah, first week down. First week has been good.
First week down. So let us know if there's any questions that you guys have, anything that you want us to talk about or discuss. We're looking forward to sharing more about this journey. Also, too, like I mentioned before, this channel is not just about Puerto Vallarta, although this is a choice and decision that we have made for ourselves. It's really about living your best life and talk about health, wellness, finances, because that's one of the big reasons why we are here, for retirement purposes, guys, and some other things. So it's just about living a best life at this stage that we're in. A lot of people think when you get older, you just bow out. You're getting older, just fall by the wayside. No, this is the time to live and enjoy, and people are starting to live longer and do things. And if you choose to start from scratch in your 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s, you want to start over and do something amazing and incredible for you, do it. Do not wait. Ourselves, we've learned that life is not promised. Tomorrow's not promised, right? We've seen people go by the wayside and pass, unfortunately, and we were just sitting around thinking, why wait to do some of these things that we want to do? Why? What's stopping us? Because life is going to go on anyway, right?
Yeah.
So, what do you want them to do, babe, on this video?
Like and subscribe, and thank you for watching all the way to the end. If you did.
Yes, if you did, thank you. We appreciate you. Yes, like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with someone who may be thinking about Puerto Vallarta or any place in Mexico or any place abroad that they think they may want to go, and maybe we inspire or help encourage somebody to at least take the step of going for a vacation and checking a place out, right?
Yeah.
We follow a lot of YouTubers who are doing the same or something similar as far as moving to other countries. One of the countries on my list, because some amazing YouTubers that we follow, we want to check out, is Lisbon, Portugal.
Yeah.
But for a visit. This is our home here, but check out Lisbon, Portugal at some point just for a visit. But until next time, guys, much love to you, and age grateful.
Yeah. See you next time.
See you next time. Peace.